Going on, folks? Well, today we're going to start the vinegar making stage of the process. Okay, so like if you are interested in vinegar making, you're going to go on YouTube and you're going to find these videos where these folks, they chop up a bunch of apple peels or whatever, and then they add water and they throw sugar in it based on volume. And then they wrap cheesecloth on it, and they hope that, after 5 or 6 weeks they got vinegar. They have no idea how strong the vinegar is going to be. They don't know if it's going to not mold, if it will actually turn into vinegar or not. Basically, vinegar making is kind of like an art like wine making, except there's two stages. First of all, let me describe this. And if you guys don't want to learn about this stuff, then all you got to do is pause now or click off and go somewhere else. But right now I'm going to talk to you about vinegar making. So there's two stages. There's a anaerobic and an aerobic environment. Aerobic means it's free oxygen. Anaerobic means no oxygen. All right, when you're making alcohol, see, the mistake these people make is they put all this fruit or whatever inside their juice, whatever they're going to use, and they'll put cheesecloth on top of it, and they'll let it turn to vinegar. And they may make vinegar. They may not make vinegar. They may make mold and bacteria and all kinds of stuff. But vinegar is acetic acid, and it's created by converting alcohol into acetic acid through something that's in the air, like yeast is in the air. There's something called Acerobacteria or Acerobacter, something like this. It's basically acetic acid or an acid bacteria that's floating around in the air that finds alcohol, right? And it starts to eat it and it turns it into an acid. If you grab your vinegar, let me see if this one says it. I don't know if it does or not. Here's a white wine vinegar. It says 6% acidity, right? So if you look at other stuff, it'll say adjusted to 5%. So how do you know what acid level you're going to get, right? And acids, basically, they're really strong, so they knock them down. When they make this industrial stuff, they'll dilute it, so it's like 5%. Because they don't worry about carrying over like the notes or the tannins from the base material. That means, like, if I'm making this one here, it was apple pie vinegar. Let me pour it in here and show you what it looks like right now. If I'm making apple pie vinegar, I want the notes of the cinnamon and some of the clove and some of the other spices that I used to come through when you taste the vinegar. Well, if your alcohol level's too high, the Acerobacter basically makes a really, really strong acid vinegar, and it kills all of the base flavors, right? And so the first stage of vinegar making is to actually make alcohol. And to make alcohol at the proper alcohol volume, it's called ABV, alcohol by volume. You need to know how much sugar is in a solution. You can use a hydrometer, which is like a thermometer that bobs in this thing. And the more dense it is with sugar, the higher it raises up, and you can take a reading that way. Or you can use something called a refractometer. Let me see if I can grab mine real quick. It's real simple. It's basically this device here, and you put some solution on there, and then you look through the eyepiece, and it will give you a Brix reading. You can see there's like a scale in there. Well, 0 is like water. There's nothing in it. And then the more sugar that's in it will give you the higher reading. Well, yeast is available in the air as wild yeast, or you can use champagne yeast or beer yeast or something like that, and it will eat all that sugar and convert that sugar into alcohol. So in that state, that's like stage 1, right? You want it to be no more than 14% alcohol by volume when it's done fermenting, but between 10 and 14 is kind of like the target window. And for that to take place, you need to start at a Brix reading of like 19 to 23. 19 to 23. And then you'll let it ferment down to like a 4 or 5 Brix reading, right? And that will give you your 9 to 14% alcohol, 10% alcohol. And the lower the alcohol, the more taste it will come through. However, if your alcohol level gets too low, it just won't convert over, right? Now you can start with like when you make vinegar, it's going to make this thing called a SCOBY or vinegar mother. It's basically like this floating jellyfish looking thing inside there. If you take a piece of that and stick it in from an old batch, it will speed up the process. Or you can buy some of this old apple cider vinegar if that's what you're making, and pour some of the mother in to get it started. Or you can just let it happen naturally. And that's what I'm going to do, is let it happen naturally. And I'm going to build mothers of vinegar, and I'll be able to put those in my other alcoholic stuff and make vinegar. Now, if you got somebody that's a beer maker, you can use their must and make malt vinegar. If you go buy wine, if you can find somebody that doesn't add sulfates to their wine, which is like a stabilizing agent that kills anything and makes it stable, you can use that alcohol to make vinegar. But mostly wine, you'll find it contains sulfites or sulfates. You can't use that to make vinegar, right? So this come from apples that I got for free. They tossed them out, so I washed them off and I juiced them out, and I made apple juice, and I added my spices, and then I put in some yeast, winemaker's yeast by Red Star, and like a week later, we're ready to rock and roll. We're about 10% alcohol, and we're going to make vinegar. So now in this environment, we want an aerobic environment, whereas before the anaerobic, we have like a little lock. Let me show you what that looks like. Looks like this. It's filled with water up to these lines, and the gas that's created when alcohol is made from yeast eating the sugar, it's carbon dioxide. It goes up into this area, and it's got like a trap on it, like a toilet, so that only the CO2 can go out, but no oxygen can get back in. That's the anaerobic environment. Well, again, if you watch these videos on YouTube, 99% of them will show you just put cheesecloth on your sweet juice, and it will turn to vinegar eventually. Again, they have no idea what kind of vinegar they're going to get, how acidic, or even if they'll make vinegar or not, right? You want to also sanitize all your stuff. This is my sanitizing solution. All my racking tubes, my thief. This is called a thief. Whenever you want to grab something out of there, you can steal without getting, something dirty dipping into it. Yeah, that's it. So at this point, we're just going to put a cheesecloth around this baby and let it sit for 5 or 6 weeks in that aerobic environment, and we should get some really nice apple pie vinegar. I've got a pineapple one on the works, and we'll go from there on that. But I can't wait till we get a hold of some good grapes. We'll make some red wine vinegar. We'll make some white wine vinegar. And you know what? If I could get a hold of some nice old barrels, little small barrels, not these big 50-gallon barrels, but maybe those 10-gallon barrels, 5-gallon barrels, wood barrels. I would really like one day to make some true balsamic vinegar. But, that's a big deal. It takes, 10 years to make really good balsamic. And it's only available in one part of Italy to be considered real balsamic. But if you ever price balsamic, a little 100 ml vial could cost you like $100 for a 25-year, maybe more. But stuff is amazing. It doesn't taste anything like the stuff you get at the store. It's amazing. But anyways, now you know everything basically I know about vinegar and how to make it and what to do. This tool right here will cost you around 20 bucks on Amazon. This tool right here will cost you about $1 on Amazon. And then if you look at yard sales like I do, you'll get these jars for nothing. And you're ready to go. You need to get some sanitizing solution. Star Sand works good. I use one called Steramine. It's like $5 for these tablets. You drop them in the water. So you need something to stabilize this, or sterilize the water and all your stuff. But yeah, it's not a big deal. It's kind of a fun project to do that only requires a little bit of time to be involved with it at a time, and then it's just a waiting game. And at the end, you end up with these nice vinegars. Like I buy these vinegars and I use them, right? But this costs a lot of money. And if you're gonna have a bunch of fruit, or you see stuff on trees that people are just letting fall on the ground, pears, apples, peaches, you can make it out of anything. Just ask them, hey, are you guys gonna be letting this stuff go to rot? If so, mind if I grab a bucket full? And they'll say no. And then it'd be cool to bring them back a nice little bottle of vinegar next year and say, hey, this is from your fruit. I made it. It's amazing, huh? And then you've got something that you can't buy in the store. So this is why I do this, to go through the effort is, A, I like to learn new stuff. B, I love to cook. And C, I hate to see stuff go to waste because there's always a use for it. And in this case, it's vinegar making. See y'all. Have a great day.